back, Bounty Hunters, life on the motherfucking blockchain. All right, and we're here after many technical difficulties with Windhustler for episode 32. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, how are you doing?
Oh, this piece of shit, man. So initially we were talking, what was it, a few days ago, last week or something, and then we were a good 10 minutes in, and then beautiful old school Europe, my power goes out because I've decided to use more than one appliance, and my solar panels they're not generating any power. So yes, that's what happened. Everything turned off, and we were cut off. So what we spoke about was actually highly classified. So it's a good thing it didn't get out there. This was like true alpha. We were talking about some deep EVM bytecode hacks that only we know. So it's pretty good we didn't share this because the blockchain would have been annihilated with too many bounties found. So just want to let you know about that. So Windhustler, what is up, sir? I actually found out that you also have some sort of podcast, the Network Podcast. What is that all about? I haven't even listened to it.
I just started with like something to just have some format to speak with people for an hour. I didn't really focus like just on the security people, but I did invite, for example, Jocelyn from Trail of Bits. He was there for an hour. I think he was with you as well, right?
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, great guy. Also Jeffrey from Rare Skills and a few other guys that are just like DeFi devs or like project founders and so on. So it's still kind of, your podcast is very well defined, bug bounty hunters. It's hard to invite. Okay, I mean you could invite folks from some project, but mine is still in its infancy. So yeah, I'm still kind of thinking what direction to take. But I run a Web3 security agency, right? So I wanted to steer it more, a bit more towards projects and builders.
And you could plug that too. Is that Burasek?
Yeah.
Shout out to Burasek.
Yeah.
Bura. I like it. And let me ask you, why did you decide to launch your own podcast? Because I wonder if it aligns with like, I couldn't talk to anyone in real life about what we talk about. So I said, the only way I could do this is start a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a bit to it, right? We mostly talk through messages, I receive and send, I don't know, probably 100 messages a day. So this was a slightly better format. I also miss talking with people more. A lot of like researchers, engineers, even when you get on a call with them, then they're not too talkative. I mean, it obviously depends.
No.
So some of them are cool, quite talkative, but others, don't say much. So yeah, like having a podcast, inviting people that like to discuss stuff, like to talk about stuff is kind of refreshing.
Yeah. You never know who's actually going to speak to. Some guys are buttoned up, and some guys that you didn't know, they're not very active on Twitter, but when they get on the mic, they have a lot to say, which is really good.
Yeah, very true. I've been running like, as I just mentioned, so I run a security agency, and I've been experimenting, with modes of working so much for the past 6 months. So I've been thinking, should I have calls at the beginning and the ending of the audit? Should I have calls in the middle? Are people going to work individually or in a team? I'm just trying a bunch of different work setups, and I think like having calls did the worst. You just have like 3 people jump on a call, but you can hear in their voice that they don't like to.
They don't want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, they
What?
don't want to be there. Like I was expecting, some, brainstorming on the call, but yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't there. Maybe I can try a bit differently. I don't know, a
Yeah,
different
I was
approach.
going to ask you because so you decided to make the move and after doing this working for other people and freelance, you said, hey, I'm going to make it official and make my own auditing company, security company. Um, so I imagine you have some guys working for you. Do you have a model? I don't know, and I don't know how new your business is. If you haven't got there, let me know. But do you have like a technique that you could share, like when you get a client and you approach it, like how do you know how many guys to assign? Like how do you get them to work together? And or are you still kind of developing that?
So ideally, you would get as many eyes as possible, but uh, companies obviously have security budgets and budgets for reviews. So we try to do minimum of two researchers. Uh, that's a bare minimum. Although we did some reviews with just a single researcher, which is not optimal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, that being said, I will usually, if even if it's like a medium-sized project or a bigger, I'll try to push for maybe like two seniors, one medium to senior researcher, and then I also try to put one or two juniors there. So in the end, it ends up being like 4 or 5 people looking at your code base, which is quite good. So
And
yeah,
do you spin
yeah.
up like a Discord for each client and then have channels? And I've heard different takes by people working in teams, and mostly everyone's remote. So I'm just curious, like, how do you use a Notion? Like, how do you guys share ideas and stuff?
So we have this very very neat like mode of working. So for the internal communication, we use a Discord channel. So this is like a completely new Discord channel where I just invite the researchers, and obviously I'm also there. And then we have like these categories like bug lead, bug pending, bug confirmed, and bug reported. So these are like channels,
Mm-hmm.
no categories. And then under each of this category, for instance, you can open new bug leads. So it's kind of a different thread, per bug lead. And there we spin up ideas. Researchers open their leads. So that's like the internal workflow. And then externally, we obviously have like a common group with the project where uh, the engineers, the developers, founders, of the project are, and we also bring our researchers there. Um so yeah, that's kind of the mode of working. Although on some, as I said, on some engagements we do completely collaborative. So everyone's just sharing ideas, everyone just working uh, together. Then
Mm-hmm.
on some other engagements we do it. Let's say an engagement is 1 week long, uh, or okay, for simplicity, like 5 days long, 5 business days long. The researchers will share their bugs after 3 days, and then on the final fifth day. So there's also that. It really depends. I'm still kind of exploring it a bit, but it depends on the engagement type. For example, recently we had this engagement where there wasn't that much code, but we were supposed to check the whole deployment process. It was some layer zero integration, also deployment scripts. We were basically supposed to check everything. Then for that kind of engagement, it makes much more sense to have a like collaborative workflow. But then maybe for some other engagements, it makes sense to have it competitive. um, so yeah, I mean,
Mm.
as you said, I worked with a lot of firms. So Most of them are well known, like I don't know, Sherlock, Blackthorn,
Hmm.
Code for Arena, Zenith, Spearbit, Bailsec, what else? Enigma. So I've seen everything. There are different working. I also worked with Pashov back
Hmm.
maybe 2 years ago. So
Pashov the Great. Yeah.
Pashov the Great, yeah.
No, it's interesting to hear your method and how you're kind of developing that method because there's so many different ways to do it, and some people find success, with their own method, collaboratively, or kind of a PvP scenario, or double review. And there's all these different ways to do it. And so I read this book recently. It's called The Cuckoo's Egg, and it was actually shared on X. And it's this story from the '80s where this astronomer is working at he's working at a university in California, and he just happens to get into this thing where he's tracking a hacker going through a system, and then military networks and all these things. And anyway, he eventually talks to this guy at the NSA, and the NSA is talking to him, and they're telling him how they kind of approach vulnerabilities in code, which I thought was pretty funny because he says we have two rooms, and we have this room. They look at the code that the other guys write, and they say, hey, look, we found a bug, and then they don't tell the guys where it is. So it stresses the other guys out, and they're running through all their code thinking, okay, it's here somewhere, but we have no clue where. And I just thought that was an interesting approach to do it. Hey, look, yeah, we got a big one. We're not going to say shit on where it is, though. But then I've also seen I mentioned this a lot, but I like Hexon's model, that just how they flex it in their audit reports, because I think they do a great job. And they do, like, one team reviews it, and then, okay, look, we're done. And then the other team does the audit again, and they say, okay, look, we found XYZ, or we confirm there's no findings.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So they don't go in parallel. So one team goes after the other.
From what I could tell from the Hexon audit report, yeah, they make it clear, like they have this system there where it's like, okay, team A reviews it, they do the audit, then team B does the same audit. I think that's how it goes.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, you're giving me some new, some new, some new ideas. But actually, Guardian does like competing teams, and then you have like one person that's like supervising the audit, and then you
Mm.
have competing teams. So they have like 5 people allocated in each audit. And that scenario that you described before, so this like supervisor, if team A has found like a critical bug, then he'll be like telling the team B, team A has found the critical bug. You should get your shit together.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool. Well, so how do you, this is interesting. I talk about a lot incentives, right? And why I'm drawn to bounty hunting. I like the incentive of possibly making a lot of money finding a bug. And that's why I didn't like doing auditing. You can make a lot of money right now during doing auditing. If you're good, 20 grand a week is crazy cash, right? But if you work for somebody, and I know why you created your own firm, you have your own aspirations. It's not easy, but you take more revenue share home, which is fair. But for guys that work with you, like guys that you hire, auditors, do you have any thoughts on how how do they look at employment? Do they say, well, we just love finding bugs and we're happy to take our standard pay? Or do you have like an incentive, some sort of program lined up where, hey, you found this thing that no one else found, like unique findings, you're rewarded extra? Or is there anything you kind of get out there to kind of incentive these guys to do their best?
Uh, I just tried something, what you just described, where um I didn't tell the team before the audit, but the first part of the audit, they were looking for bugs. It was kind of a competitive, so each of the researchers was supposed to disclose their bugs after 3-4 days of audit. And then when they disclosed, I told them there's still 3 more days in the remaining in the audit. If you're able to find high or critical, there's this side pot and you can earn some extra money there. So aside from being paid for the audit, so this is something. Although this is never going to be some enormous amount of money, unless it's a really big audit. If it's an audit that is a month long, then you can earn some decent cash on the side. But for these shorter duration audits, it just it's not possible to allocate a very big side pot.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one incentive, but I think a very big incentive is when people are competing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No one wants to be the person that hasn't found like some critical bugs or high severity bugs. So this is a big advantage with the competitive model. I mean, I've worked a lot with the competitive model as a freelancer for other groups,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, uh, you don't want to be the worst researcher. You don't be someone who missed stuff. So you're going to push through there, just just for the ego's sake, and obviously you have a reputation, and you do want to continue working, for multiple. Most freelancers, they want to have more options, right? So you're not going to lock yourself for a one audit group, but it's best if you have like more options, right?
Yeah.
If
It,
you prove your worth with 3, 4, 5 different audit groups, then you're always going to get hired again, and you have that certainty.
yeah. I'm thinking about from like the employee perspective, because I talked to some people that had done, because I think a lot of firms, I'm not, maybe there are a few exceptions, but a lot of firms will say, okay, we did this security audit, and they won't put who actually did the audit. They just use their firm's brand name. And that is not liked by some of the auditors later on, because when they want to move on or show proof of work, they're like, I was on this audit, but their name's not on there. So I don't know how you're rolling with that. So that's like one thing I was thinking about, and the other thing was like about doing the competitive aspect, right? If so, your name, right? Windhustler's running his Budosek, and he's running this, and obviously you're the proprietor, right? You care the most about your company's findings versus any other firm. When you're all auditing the same protocol, you're like, hell yeah, we better get the best critical findings, this and that. But I'm just wondering, like, if it would align your guys more if they had their names, and I don't know if you put them on the report or not, but like if their names were on the report, like they share in that kind of the podium on top if you guys are the best. So I don't know if you're doing that or not, or what you think.
So we do put the researchers on the report,
Oh, cool.
to give them maybe bigger sense of ownership, and just having this feeling that you're not just some guy behind, that no one knows about, but you're there. Uh, but on the other hand, I do understand. I mean, I don't know what these other firms are saying. What's the reason that they're not putting the auditor names, but uh, I'm guessing they're not putting them to they don't want their competitors, like other auditing firms, to know who's doing
Mm-hmm.
the audits.
You'll
So
poach them, perhaps.
they'll poach them, right?
Yeah.
That's the main issue. I mean, I know Pashov, and I don't want to put him on the spotlight or anything. I know previously he was putting auditor names on the reports. Now he's not doing it. There was some discussion around that on Twitter. He said that I remember I was reading through the post. He was saying like it doesn't provide any value to the clients, which is true. But I do think that a lot of his auditors, got employed in Certora. They got employed elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they went through a lot of audits with him. So I suppose they were really good. He liked working with them. They had very good performance, but now they're working for Certora, for other auditing groups. So he probably said, fuck this. you know,
Actually, the true story is that Pashov actually he does all the audits himself. He's superhuman, and he does this while driving in his Lamborghini. He's actually he's an incredible man.
yeah,
No, so here's a solution that could be done, right? Okay, it doesn't add value to the clients, fine, fair enough, but it does add value for your auditors, especially when they're trying to show a repository of work. So how about you have, just like people can confirm employment at a company by like a web portal, you can say, hey, give me the request like the unredacted audit, or like which auditors were on this. Like have some place that they could be verified. I think that'd be cool.
yeah, that's cool. But also, I mean, I don't see a big problem if uh, obviously someone else cannot verify that. But if you just have the report right without your name, you can just send that as a reference, and then if this person wants to check, then he can do
Yeah, yeah,
all the.
no,
I mean,
very true.
this is usually enough. Um but I mean, the fight for SR talent is real. It's there. I mean, I don't know what your opinion on this is, but you remember the exclusivity with Cantina,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and there was a lot of when Cantina announced this, there's a lot of reactions from Immunify, from Sherlock, from others. So obviously this matters. Um there are a lot of researchers, but there aren't that many researchers that are really top class. So I guess kind of everyone's fighting for them, and then obviously you have newcomers that are really good, but some of them are still undiscovered. So I'm also
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what newcomer is going to be the next beast, the next I don't know, Simal, or some of these guys that are really talented. So that's
There's a counterpoint to that too, because something that hasn't been studied yet is like you have athletes, right? And you pick certain athletes, they have their draft, and this guy's really good. Okay, we got him. You have all these stats for the athletes. You've seen them play. You know their age. You like they're a very public figure. Auditors, you really don't know who they are. They're hiding behind a PFP. You don't know their age. You don't know their family situation. You don't know their life. You have no idea. But if they're top of their game and you hire them, and this has happened, this is talked about quite a bit. Some guys just ride the brand until it dies, right? They ride their name and they say they check in, but they're done. Like they've made enough money and they don't really care as much. They lost that hunger. And I don't know how to gauge that. Like you could see how dialed in the guy is, I guess, to the industry, and see if he's still participating, and see if he still has that drive and hunger. But I definitely wouldn't want to pick a guy for top dollar and employ him and then just be disappointed, because the guys that are hungry, that are smart, that haven't been discovered yet, I mean, those are the guys I think everyone's trying to get, to be honest,
yeah, true,
that
of
that have
course.
showed results.
Yeah, that's very true. Um,
Because like, look at
I
the
mean,
exclusive deals that were done with Cantina. I won't name names, but some of those guys, like, I think they peaked. I think they peaked already. They got enough money, and they're like, oh, okay, I don't really want to do this now.
yeah. I mean, there's also a bit of that. Um, but this is also one reason why you put multiple people on an
Mm-hmm.
audit. Um, I mean, it's the same with employees, right? If you're Hexons or name any other company, everyone can have a bad week, a bad internet,
Mm-hmm.
one week, or just you don't sleep good, or maybe you've totally lost the motivation. Maybe you're thinking of doing something else and you accepted that last deal and now you're working for me. So again, that happens to everyone. So it's I think this is kind of unavoidable. It just it's just the reality. But then you try to put like two, three, four people at least, so you have that kind of manpower.
And how are you
You
getting
just
guys
research on
anyway?
that.
Like what's your recruiting strategy? What have you seen being successful? Because let's the current job market depends on the country you're in, but it seems like the economy is pretty shit. And Web3 security is an interesting kind of zone to be in. It can either be highly lucrative or you're not making any money at all. So I'm wondering like where you're finding your talent at and how you've kind of approached from the hiring perspective.
So we actually don't have anyone who's like employed, full time. Uh, but there are a few guys that usually work on almost on every engagement. Uh, Locally, here in I'm from Croatia. No one is into Web3 security, so it's it's very hard to find people locally. But actually, what I mean, there's only a few people. One of the guys works constantly on our audits. He's actually like 1 kilometer from my place
Mm.
here in Zagreb, Croatia. He's very experienced. He worked in Arbitrum as Solidity developer, but he has like 15 years of software development experience, and he's been doing research for the past like 2 years. So he's one of the researchers I frequently put. There are also like a few juniors here from Croatia that I'm trying to get into the business. Other than that, I mostly work with researchers from all over the world who have either worked for some Web3 security firm, or they have really good competitive audit results. So in this way, we're similar to Pasho or these other
Mm.
groups. So we kind of hire from the same talent pot. As far as finding the right person, maybe this is alpha, but uh, I personally worked with a lot of people, right? I just mentioned I worked for Zenit, Spearbit, and so
Hmm.
on. So if I trust, so if I've worked with an engagement with someone, I really trust him. Then I will either, I can assess that that person is good, it's hardworking, and so on. So I'll either work with that with that person, or I will ask him to recommend me people that he has worked with. I just ask him, give me the best researchers that you have worked with,
Hmm.
and then you see same names popping from different researchers, and then you probably know that this person is good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one just heuristic. I also just look at generally what the person has done. I also do care how someone communicates, and I just sometimes it's also intuition. I just think I just kind of feel that someone might be good, so I just try to put him on some engagement and see how it
So
goes.
what do you value the most? If you got a guy that says, "Oh man, I got to get some cash here, and I really want to work for Windhustler because he's incredibly based," and this guy's coming up to you and he's got like maybe he placed like top 10 on some contests, and he hasn't had like a formal Web3 job, but you could see he's dedicated, like he's always posting, he's learning this and that. Do you have a is there like a junior role? Do you have anywhere? And I know you're a young firm, right? But do you have somewhere where maybe new guys could kind of build up at your company at like a very junior role to learn from the best?
So I'd usually, what you've described for these for this scenario, I'll usually try to put this person on like trial audits. So he's going to get paid, but probably not like a typical not like a typical researcher. So then I just assess from there. We don't have a formal process, right? We're a very young agency. Also, the bottleneck with the agency right now is not researchers. There is enough skilled researchers. The bottleneck is still the clients, right?
Mm.
So we do have like 4 or 5 very good clients that keep on coming back and use our services. Uh, but with audits, that's probably not enough to be constantly booked with
Hmm.
several audits running at the same time. So yeah, just trying to scale that part. I'm just looking to kind of have maybe like 20, 30. Okay, maybe that's a bit longer term, but if we would have like 15 to 20, projects that constantly, work with us, that would be enough to keep us really booked, right?
Hmm. Do
So
you feel
so
this business is really like because it's a good question on like how do you compete in the market? Do you compete on quality? Do you compete on price? Or is it kind of a mix of both and it becomes more like a relationship business, like any sales type business? Because the way you communicate with clients, your feedback, everything like that, how do you view it?
yeah, it's a mix of everything. Um, I would say we currently definitely compete with price, especially with some more established options out there. So that's one kind of advantage. Then we do try to focus a bit more on these like interoperability protocols, layer zero,
Mm.
wormholes, some of
Hmm.
these others. So we did a lot of audits of this type. So this is our competitive advantage.
I like that right there, like what you're doing, because I wanted to see if you'd say that, and you did. Like that is so smart. I think to focus, like, look, we could do everything, and we will. However, like this is our specialty because we know you're the king of layer zero, right? So you're doing this like total interoperability focus, which I think it's a really good business move. Just focusing on that and showing like this is our core skill set.
Yeah. Um that was also kind of the vision to focus really on actually the focus was like my thesis was that these external integrations often get overmissed in audits
Hmm.
or underlooked, right? If you have
Absolutely.
like a 2,000 lines of code audit, if it has a bunch of external integrations, usually you're not scoping it, to have a sufficient time to cover all this external code, unless the researchers that are allocated on the audit have a lot of experience with those external integrations. So that's where we try to offer value to projects. So if it's for example, LeFi is one of our clients. We
Hmm.
we do a lot of PR reviews with them, since they constantly push new code to production, and they're like bridge and DAX aggregator, so they're constantly integrating new bridges. So when they integrate a new bridge, we'll check it out. But uh, most of these bridges work in a similar way. There are often some kind of bugs that are repeating there, so that gives us the advantage compared to someone who's never audited a bridge, checking it out.
Hmm.
uh, that being said, I think a better special, if someone wants to open a firm tomorrow, uh, I think the design space, in cross chain protocols is, there's some room for errors there, for bugs there. Also, the apps, the protocol itself gets a bit, more complex when it's cross chain. But I think like opening an auditing firm and focusing perhaps, just on DeFi in general, like lending, borrowing, perpetuals, and so on. The design space is much bigger there, and these audits are, longer. They can be quite hard. You've seen with Yearn and Balancer, right? There's a million things that can go wrong if you have some complex math. There's a bunch of numerical bugs that can occur, or some, economic exploits, and so on. So just my, just my piece of advice: if someone is focusing on something, I would think the most work is there's the most work with DeFi,
Yeah.
apps,
Yeah.
definitely.
I wonder, like, someone opens up we're the AMM audit shop, and all they do is like AMMs only. I think there's some value to that because they really just focus on that niche and that corner of the market. Because I wonder because like if you audit, right, you look at bugs, and we look at every possible bug. It's all just logic, and in a certain sense, until you reach a certain level of math. And the math, let's just look at the YETH type thing. The balancer thing, I guess I'd bundle that into that as well, where it's you really have to be taking a very close eye at the math. And I've done it before where I've seen some math in contracts. I'm just like, I'll just assume that's good. I look
Yeah.
at some easier code, right? It's so easy to do, or I'll get back to it. And now we have LLMs where we can talk to it and work through the math. It doesn't mean they're going to find it, but it makes it more approachable for more people to look at it, because a lot of people don't like math, and some people will dive right into that shit. And I think you need those guys. Like if you had, I don't know what you'd call them, like the quant audit firm, like some hardcore math, like they're gonna be like Michael from Curve or something. You need those guys in there to audit the math of these big brains, and that's all they do. Like no other bugs. Just bring us in to check out that, and like a limited scope that those functions, those math functions touch. We'll look at that, and then you kind of we'll give you our assessment, and then you go around outside of that. Do you think that would be? What do you think? You think that'd be a successful audit shop that could do that?
It would be very successful, but actually that's one of my plans, like long-term plans. Um, there's a lot of like there's a lot of like very talented, students that study, math, or computer science here in Croatia. So I'll try to kind of cherry pick the best, the best people from the faculty, bring them as internships, and try to grow them through the company to focus on the things that you were just mentioning. I
Mm-hmm.
think if someone is, I mean, we've seen it in the example of Bulgaria, and Bulgarians. There's a bunch of like 17 or 18 or 19 year olds that are really
Yeah.
good, in this stuff, and it's um I think there's talent like this definitely in other countries. Just have just I don't know, some stars have aligned in Bulgaria that a lot of people have heard about Web3 security, and just are grinding through it. But yeah, I would kind of assemble this crazy team, like guys that just rock with math, and then they would I think this is like really a really good setup. That's maybe long term. The problem, when you start with someone, you need to train him and so on. So
Mm.
it takes a bit of time.
So how do you balance do because you are you still doing stuff with Sherlock and Spearbit as well?
So I actually haven't done anything with Sherlock. I don't know, maybe for about a year, but I do occasional audits with Spearbit and Zenith. Um,
Hmm.
but that's moving. In 2026, I'll place 100% focus on Buddha security. I'm also planning some rebrand in terms of visuals. Maybe I'll even change the name. So I'll probably just be focusing on that 100%. Uh, I started the firm back in May, and to be honest, I just woke up one day. I had this in mind. I want to start something. I want to start something. I just woke up one day. Okay, let's just do something. Let's just figure out some name.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Just make a website, and I think this is the best way because initially I was thinking like, no way I'm going to get clients. There's so much competition. There's so many, but just with time people start reaching out, you get recommended by someone, and then poof, 6 months you have 4 or 5 very good
Hmm.
clients. So I think if you zoom this out to like 3 to 5 years, you can build a small empire.
Yeah. Yeah. You took the hardest part with any business, just doing it. Just
Yeah.
taking action. Yeah. I think there's always demand. It's just like finding that demand and actually putting in the work. So I had a question for you. So audit firms, everyone does audits. And have you ever thought of saying, we're going to take our brand name and we'll compete for bounties as well to kind of boost your brand recognition?
Hmm.
Are you man
Yeah, I
enough to
mean,
compete for the bounties?
yeah. The problem with that is we don't have long term. We don't have employees. We work with
Hmm.
with freelancers, so that's the initial problem. This is actually a great idea if you had like 10. Let's say you have 10 employees, and then you want to fill in some gaps in between audits, in between other work, and at the end of the day you might want to give your employees just some time to research, do bounties, research some new project, and so on. So I would definitely do that with having employees, but right now it's just not possible, and also a lot of researchers think that all clients care is how many bounties you had or how many competitive audit results you had, but that's just one part of the picture. Sometimes you get some clients just because you were introduced to this person because of sales, because you have some specialty in something. So actually, I know a lot of like top guys that don't have that many like private audit opportunities, but their portfolio is insane. They found some really really great bugs, and they're not fully booked.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's true. Yeah, it's an interesting job market, an interesting industry that we work in, and I love seeing it kind of evolve. Because I'm running an AI firm now that we're just about to kind of officially launch, and we're competing with the human firms, and right now it's going to be a layer. Like we still have this. I talk to investors a lot about like what does security look like on the blockchain? How do you guys change it? And I said basically we're still doing this layered approach that a lot of people talk about because we can't guarantee 100% security. Nobody's able to do that yet. I hope we do get there, but right now it's just like, hey, this firm looks at it, we look at it, everyone looks at it, we get the automated tool. Like you do everything you can to try to guarantee a great outcome for the client, and we're still not there. Like we still have hacks, we still have all these things that we need to fix security wise to really get this to be more comfortable for people to put their money, because right now sometimes I don't think the risk premium um, is enough. Like I don't think it reflects the true risk of putting your money in DeFi. Uh, it's really hard to gauge that right now. It's a tough metric to come about, and I don't know what to tell people when people say, "Should I invest in DeFi? Should I buy crypto?" And They're like, do you use it? And I say, well, kind of. Yeah, I use like select protocols that I've looked at, and I'm very low risk, just because of my traumatized brain of everything I've seen in crypto over the years. But what are your takes on this? Like, what do we do here? What's the next step in security? How do we get better, and like how do you plan to help contribute to it?
So I'm actually running this idea with one of our clients, and I'd love to hear your take on this. So, uh, and this is targeting specifically when a project deploys. So, right now we have what I call them public bug bounties. So you post a bug bounty on some platform. There's some reward. On one hand, anyone can look at your bug bounty, but you have zero certainty that someone is actually looking at your bug bounty. So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of the first problem. So zero certainty that someone is looking. The same thing with competitions, but just uh, like game theoretical, we can assume that okay, maybe someone is probably someone is looking at your bug bounty. So this is kind of the first problem I see. The second problem is I don't know if any bug hunters actually collaborate. If it's ever a team of a few people. Uh, I don't know. Do you know such
It
instances?
does. It does happen. It's not that common, but I have been in some groups where we've discussed some bugs. But usually, it's an independent role.
Yeah, yeah. So it's rare, right?
Hmm.
When people collaborate, the productivity is better. You can bounce off ideas. So this is just a better mode of working. Then also, not to get too much into this, but there's problem with payouts, with severity
Hmm.
determining, and so on. Everyone knows about this. On the other hand, you have black hats that I think a bigger percentage of them, especially state sponsored, they always work in groups, right? It's
Hmm.
5 people in some a government room in North Korea, spending 12 hours a day trying to figure out the math, figure out a way to exploit, and so on. So they're probably more productive than some white hat, in his apartment, arguing on Immunify, whether he's going to get rewarded or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Big problem. Huge
Big
problem
problem.
there.
Big problem. Obviously, not to mention, if a project, we've seen it right now. If a project has been on Immunify or elsewhere for a few years, there's a very low chance that anyone really competent is going to look at it because the return on investment is small, right? So
Yeah.
I've just laid out all of these issues, and I think everyone is kind of aware these issues exist. My opinion is so I'm just talking about this stage specifically. Obviously, a lot can be done during development, AI reviews and so on. But when you deploy, I think you need to have a way of mimicking what black hats do. So you would have to have at least one person, but probably like 2 3 people in a team trying to exploit your project. So once you deploy, they literally try to exploit it. Now the
Hmm.
only question is how to get the most talented people. So this doesn't cost millions or whatever, and how can they actually do this? So how to actually align incentives? um, I think this is a model that we'll see in the future. I think some big protocols probably have, maybe they call them like internal researcher teams, but I would literally have 2 3 guys that try to exploit, but they're white hats, right? That once you deploy, maybe they don't work on that full time, but they work. They kind of work periodically. In some smaller sprints, but they literally try to exploit it, in real time. I
Yeah.
think this
No,
Yep.
it's a good model. I've actually sold this with success to clients before, offering like a targeted bounty hunt, a security review. So once all their audits are done and they're just live, I'm like, hey, call me up and let me just do a targeted bounty hunt. And I kind of explained the same thing. I was like, you put the bounty out there, you don't know who's looking at it, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, hey, and I give them a discount too. So if you're going to put your bounty up for half a mil, if for criticals, this and that, I'm saying, hey, listen, before you put it out there, let me save you some cash. All right, give me a week and I'll do a targeted bounty hunt on your protocol, and we'll level like incentivize criticals at whatever it is, 15 grand a critical, keep it reasonable for the client while also incentivizing yourself. And that way it's like, here's a base fee just for my time, but then you're only going to pay for highs criticals, only things that are going to destroy this protocol. And every time I've done that, it's been a successful result. Like we've had the team liked it. I said, if you're really confident in your code, we'll just, do like a lower base fee, pay me a lower base, and then do a higher incentivized bug payment. But if you're not that confident, I'll take a higher base and then a lower, incentivized high critical fine. And it's worked out pretty well, man. I think clients like that. It gives them immediate feedback, and it's like a pre-bug bounty run that can save them money before they actually go to the bug bounty market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, why do you think this is not done more often? Why? Like, what's your opinion?
Well, who's going to do it? I mean, the audit firms, they stage it as an audit, right? It's an audit product. It's easy to sell that to many clients. And I think you got to have a certain brand, and you got to have a certain knack for finding these different kind of bugs. I don't know how to explain it. Honestly, it's very difficult, but like a bounty hunter could get business doing this, as I've done so, by just offering a targeted bounty hunt. If you're good, you should be able to find something. And I think it's a different mindset, man. I just think auditors look at code, and there's so many different things they're also dealing with. They're back and forth with the client. They have to recommend changes. They have to audit those changes. There's a lot of discourse. Uh, and the bounty hunter is just like, I don't care about any of this. I don't care about your rules. I don't care about your scope. I don't care about anything. I'm just going to try to find a way to break your code. And I think there's something core there that auditors just do differently than bounty hunters.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't disagree there. I always say I just really I had some like post on X maybe a few days ago when I was saying like auditing, prior to audit is line by line, and then and contract by contract, and then in the end, if you have enough time, you will try to look at the system as a whole. If
Yeah.
it's like 5,000 lines of code, uh, you probably didn't check all the complex scenarios. No way you checked everything. If it's even bigger, 10,000, no freaking way you, unless you had like 3 months to check it. There's just usually there just isn't enough time. And obviously you communicate with the client, recommendations, info, low issue, you log maybe 30, 40 issues, and so on. While bug hunters, yeah, completely different. You from the start, you just look for that complexity. It's very different. But I'm just interested. So why do you think like Immunify doesn't offer something like this? They have a lot of clients. They have a lot of clients with deep pockets. Why don't they say to client A that has $5 million bug bounty, okay, we'll get you someone, two white hats from, I don't know, top 20, top 30 on Immunify. They will be specifically assigned to your project.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know if they don't do that, like with their all stars and stuff like that they're talking about. Uh, I mean, I think Mitch should do that. It seems like a great idea. I mean, it's another product line you could sell, a targeted bounty hunt, and protocols would probably go for it, and researchers would like it too, because these guys, like, if you're in the crypto game and you run a protocol and you don't think security is number one, you're fucking crazy. your whole ship can go down like that. If you don't understand that, get out, because you don't deserve a spot in this industry. So guys that know what's up, they love having guys look at their code. And anyone that dismisses people, like I have plenty of Telegram channels where I just, like, I have the layer 0 guys right now that I just sent like a finding to them, and I was like, hey, maybe this is a low or something. You want to take a look? And they, oh no, we have some protections on the side for it. Oh, okay, cool. Just like that. Like, I have a relationship with a bunch of teams where I'm not like, hey, you got to pay me for this. It's just like having those connections are built upon mutual trust, knowing that the team is looking out for the protocol. They respect security researchers. And on the same side, SORs are like, hey, look, we respect the team, want to secure the protocol. We also want to make a living, but we're not going to waste your time with some bullshit. So like having that mutual thing versus, when you come across a project that is run by assholes that you give a valid critical bug, as has happened many, many times for many people, and they just come up with a million reasons or just flake on you. I mean, that's kind of the disconnect there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And unfortunately, I mean, you said difference between good and bad security is that you can literally sink, right? You can get drained. It's game over for you. But some people, I don't know, some project founders, whatnot, they just don't care. I've even heard like I've been talking with this one researcher. He told me that uh, some projects that they just say security is not generating revenue, so we're not going to invest any significant money in it. Literally,
Oh,
literally,
jeez.
literally like that. So it's not generating revenue. We don't care, if something
Yeah.
happens, well, obviously they do some, they do invest something, but it's probably something minimal, like
Take your
one
money
audit.
out. That's all I'll say. Take your funds out of that protocol. Do not vote with your dollar as an investor to that protocol.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But again, developing on the blockchain is so expensive, right? It's so much expensive than just building some Web 2 app or mobile application or whatever.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a wild space we live in, man. A wild space. And I'm going to cap it since we are at an hour. Mr. Windhustler, it was fantastic having you on the pod. Thank you very much for joining. And we will see you all next time on the blockchain.